In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, hope is but a fading ember. The galaxy stands divided, reeling from the catastrophic aftermath of the 13th Black Crusade. Abaddon the Despoiler's assault ripped the galaxy apart, culminating in the creation of the Great Rift, a massive tear in reality that floods the Imperium with the malevolent horrors of the warp. The once mighty Imperium is now crippled, its people engulfed in fear and despair, fighting for survival in a realm torn between light and shadow. Amidst this chaos, Roboute Guilliman, Primarch of the Ultramarines, awakens, a hero reborn into a nightmare, tasked with saving an empire that stands on the brink of oblivion. Roboute Guilliman's return to the Imperium was nothing short of miraculous, brought about by an alliance of necessity and desperation. Guilliman had been mortally wounded 10,000 years ago by his brother Fulgrim, the Primarch of the Emperor's children, who had fully given himself to the worship of Slaanesh, the chaos god of excess. During a brutal confrontation, Fulgrim struck Guilliman down, leaving him on the verge of death. It was only through the ambitious and secretive work of Archmagos Belisarius Cawl that his revival became possible. Cawl, driven by an ancient command from the Emperor himself, had worked for 10,000 years to perfect a means to heal the fallen Primarch. However, even Call's technology alone was not enough. The Elder, led by Yvraine, the emissary of Inead, the god of the dead, played a crucial role in Guilliman's rebirth. In a moment of uneasy cooperation, the Eldar used their mystical power to bridge the gap between life and death, combining their sorcery with Call's advanced life support armor, known as the Armor of Fate. This union of technology and mysticism succeeded in the impossible. Guilliman was brought back from the edge of death, restored to lead humanity once more. Upon his return, Guilliman took up the mantle of Lord Commander of the Imperium, the Emperor's son reborn to restore order to a galaxy in turmoil. Yet, nothing was as he remembered. The Imperium was fractured, ruled by superstition and weighed down by its own dogma. Guilliman's fight was not only against the physical forces of chaos, but also against the rot of despair that ate away at the heart of the Imperium. To see his father's great vision reduced to a shattered, faltering relic tested even his unbreakable resolve. One of Guilliman's first acts upon returning was to strengthen and reform the military forces of the Imperium. He immediately saw the weaknesses and inefficiencies that had developed during his millennia-long absence. The galaxy had become even more dangerous, and the Space Marine chapters and Imperial armies were stretched thin. Guilliman needed to ensure that humanity had the means to survive in this new era of warfare. To achieve this, Guilliman sanctioned the creation of the Primaris Space Marines, a new breed of warrior, taller, stronger, and more resilient than the original Space Marines. These warriors were the result of 10,000 years of research by Belisarius Cawl, who had worked in secret to perfect their gene seed. The Primaris Marines were equipped with superior armor and weapons, such as the Mark X power armor and more advanced bolt guns, making them more effective in battle against the forces of chaos and Xenos threats. Guilliman also introduced new battle formations and strategies. He reorganized his forces to be more versatile and adaptable, introducing specialized units like the Intercessors, Inceptors, and Aggressors, which allowed his armies to adapt to different combat situations with greater ease. He emphasized mobility and tactical flexibility, recognizing that the old tactics were insufficient against the unpredictable threats posed by the forces of chaos and the rising tide of other alien enemies. Touray. In addition to enhancing the Space Marines, Guilliman also pushed for the widespread use of the Astra Militarum, human soldiers of the Imperial Guard, and encouraged collaboration between the different branches of the Imperium's military. He understood that in this new era, the combined might of all the Imperium's forces was necessary to counter the overwhelming dangers it faced. This unity and strategic reform became key to the defense of vital systems such as Konor, which was at the heart of Ultramar. As Guilliman begins to rebuild, he is faced with enormous challenges, many of which come from within. The Adeptus Ministorum, now more occult than the rational leadership his father intended, preaches the Emperor as a god, and the Imperium is rife with superstition. The weight of millennia of ignorance and dogma hangs heavily over Guilliman. He strives to reignite the ideals of the Great Crusade, but his vision of a more efficient and logical Imperium is constantly hindered by the traditions and bureaucracy entrenched within every institution. Even as Guilliman works to stabilize his territories, the effects of the Great Rift make this a monumental task. The warp storms rage, dividing sectors and plunging entire systems into darkness, where communication is impossible, and the threat of chaos invasion is constant. The Imperium Nihilus, cut off from Terra by the Great Rift, faces a dire fate, and Guilliman can only work tirelessly to preserve what he can. Amidst these internal struggles, Guilliman must also face threats from without. In the Conor system, a vital region within Ultramar, the forces of chaos have struck, seeking to claim it for their Dark Masters. Guilliman rallies his Ultramarines and the newly formed Primaris Marines, Call's greatest creation, into battle to push back the invasion. The Conor campaign becomes a symbol of his renewed Imperium's resilience, showcasing the strength of his forces and the determination Guilliman brings to every battle. With every victory, Guilliman hopes to rekindle the fire within humanity, even if he himself is uncertain whether the Imperium is truly worthy of saving in its current form. He questions his place in this decaying empire, but his duty drives him forward, fighting for humanity's survival in a galaxy that seems to have given itself over to despair. Guilliman's struggle is not simply against his enemies on the battlefield, it is also against the very heart of the Imperium itself. The once glorious empire has become a superstitious, fractured theocracy, far removed from the rational vision he once shared with his father. Guilliman must balance being a warrior and a symbol. He is the hope that humanity needs, yet is also tormented by the weight of leading an empire that seems almost beyond saving. Every victory is bittersweet, knowing that the Imperium is a shadow of what it was meant to be. As the first book of the Dark Imperium draws to a close, Guilliman knows that his mission is far from over. The Great Rift divides the galaxy, and the forces of chaos remain ever present, ready to strike at any sign of weakness. Guilliman stands unbroken, a beacon in the darkness, a reluctant leader bearing the weight of the Imperium's hope. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, there is only war. Yet somewhere deep within, Guilliman clings to the belief that humanity can still find a way to persevere.